Karl-Anthony with the pump fake and a one dribble inside to the long two, and he makes it. That's been his game his whole career. But look at him smiling. We go, my bad. The long two.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Long Two. I am Pete Rogers. He is Natty Wallach, and we are the least efficient fantasy basketball podcast you'll ever hear, but we get the job done. Natty, you feeling better this week?
I do. Thanks for asking. How are you doing, man?
I'm great. I wasn't the one who took my disease, somehow transferred it through the microphone to your microphone and then to you. You were sick last week, and it prevented us from recording, but I hope well, it sounds like you're better. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, the strange thing is that I wasn't sure if it was a cold or if it was allergies. So it was irritating as well as being,
wildly
huge inconvenience.
Right. That's the worst. Because then you take your allergy meds thinking that it is allergies, because it tends to always be me. And I'm glad that we've started this tradition by opening the podcast talking about illnesses and how we both deal with illnesses. I think this is a really good to get the kind of juices flowing, get people ready to talk fantasy basketball, because we know illness is, the number one topic. If you're not talking about fantasy basketball, you're talking about illnesses that you could have. Allergies.
Those are the only two things that I talk about. Yeah.
It's the only two things in the world.
Who's on your team?
It's annoying when you can't figure out if it's allergies or an illness that you should be taking meds for. Because a lot of time allergies, I just take my allergy pills and it's like, well, that didn't fix it.
Yeah, and I don't really like taking medicine. I'd rather just attack things with orange juice and chicken soup and spite. But I didn't feel sick and I wasn't achy, but I was totally gross. And, New York City, all the kids went back to school and everything is hot garbage anyway. So I don't know. Who knows what it was.
And also just being sick in New York is terrible. Especially if you have to go do something. If you can sit at home and do your chicken noodle soup and hang out and lay in bed and watch something, then it's great because you're like, I get to hear the bustling noises of New York to comfort me and lull me to sleep. But if you have to go out and actually fend for yourself on the subway and deal with the whole T system and fucking work, well, then it's all hell.
The T. That's adorable, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. I had the subway built into my head, and then 3 years in Boston. Next thing you know, the T is just what it becomes.
Absolutely, and now you have the AATA, right?
And now I have my own car.
Nice. There you go.
That's the main perk of not living in a city anymore, is being able to use the car that you have.
See, that's funny because I feel like the main perk of being in a city is that I don't need to have a car.
It's true. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you really need a car and you're like, damn it, I wish I had it even though I'm in the city. And then sometimes it's really nice to be like, oh, the other side of I can get myself to anywhere in the city by public.
Do they have single-edged swords? Was someone
good
just what?
question.
He just needs one, man. He doesn't need.
I think it would actually be too much of an advantage for this guy to have two sharp sides. So we're just going to give him one dull side and then a sharp. I mean, isn't that basically an axe, I guess?
Sure. Or, knives aren't sharp on both sides, but
are they?
Knives,
oh, interesting.
Not swords. I don't know.
We'll get to the bottom of this at some point.
Totally.
Because we should probably move on to some fantasy basketball conversation, don't you think?
Oh yeah, since we're in this lull and everything's absolutely terrible, sure. Let's talk about fantasy basketball.
Hey, we got a month. We got one more month, and then we get actual basketball games. That's mildly exciting.
I'm just still a little bit upset about Team USA, and now all we have is rue and recrimination, and then training camp starts and everything gets crazy again.
Did you take some comfort in knowing that the Detroit Pistons signed Joe Johnson?
I took all the comfort in that.
Good.
I doubled my bet on the Pistons winning the finals and Blake winning MVP.
Perfect.
I'm all in.
Excellent.
Mean, everyone needs more Blaha. Michigan is going to be big over the next few years.
Sign on while you can. Yeah,
exactly.
That makes sense.
Buy stock.
Buy stock while you still can. Awesome. So let's actually do talk fantasy basketball, since that's what we're on the airwaves to do. Last week or 2 weeks ago, for those who didn't listen, make sure you tune in, go back and listen. We gave our top 5 fantasy point guards. This week, we're going to do our top 5 fantasy shooting guards. So let's start there. Natty, we'll start at 5. We'll make the people wait to get the number 1 guy, though I think it might be a little obvious who it is. Who is your 5th fantasy shooting guard? Who's going to finish top 5 for you this year?
I would like to start out by saying that this was difficult. Not just because there are a lot of good players to choose from, but because there's a lot of fluidity between 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 now.
That was the hardest for me.
Yeah, so I just decided to concentrate on like just straight up 2s.
Nice.
Or people that I think will be there. And I'm half excited and half embarrassed, but my number 5 is the dentist, Zach LaVine. I love him this year.
I'm not laughing at you for having him there. You shouldn't feel bad about yourself, because he's on my list and he's not 5.
Wow. Awesome. That's fantastic. He's number 1. That's great.
Exactly. Suck it, James Harden. Yeah, I mean, we can get into him more when I eventually say him, but I am fully on board with Zach LaVine. And we've talked about him before on the podcast. He's a podcast favorite. I mean, he has tons of opportunity in Chicago. He's already shown himself to be an exceptional fantasy player. And I truly think that he's going to take the next step and become both NBA, but primarily fantasy superstar.
I mean, he already scored 20 plus last year with pretty good ratios. The team will presumably be better. And I wonder if maybe his scoring will go down, but his assists will go up, as we've mentioned on this pod before. And yeah, I'm just really excited. I mean, he's 24 years old. This is not a make or break year for him, but I think it's a year where he can really establish himself as an NBA player,
right.
Capitalized. And that makes Chicago a real power in the East, because the East is garbage.
Yeah, it's true.
If you have half of a good player, you're an elite team in the East.
You've got a pretty good chance of making some. I mean, that's why the Pistons went out and got their elite player in Joe Johnson. Now,
yeah, he doesn't even need to play every game, and we're still going to be incredible.
Yeah, you guys are set. It is pretty amazing when you look back on that Minnesota team. I mean, Minnesota has had multiple teams like this, but just like Zach LaVine, and they still had Wiggins then. I mean, like that, they had an overlap. They didn't have Cat yet, did they? Have they? I don't think they ever overlapped. I don't think they ever overlapped.
Well, if they did, it was only for one season.
Right.
And I mean, Minnesota's been nuts forever now. Like, they're a team that has had a lot of talent go through them, just like a couple of other really garbage teams. And Zach LaVine, I don't know if he escaped. I mean, if you're Zach LaVine, you'd obviously rather be in Chicago than Minnesota.
Right.
But if you're Minnesota, you'd rather have Zach LaVine than Andrew Wiggins.
It's true. But I also think that it took Zach LaVine getting out of Minnesota to become the man we all love.
Sure. Fair enough.
Like I'm not necessarily sure that he's would have had the opportunity to blossom into the, kind of breakout all-star that he is if he was trapped in the shithole of Minnesota. But I don't know. Plus, I mean, goddamn, there's something to be said for those Bulls jerseys. They are just classics, and they just look good they look good on everyone.
Yeah, it's really annoying. I mean, go Pistons, fuck the Bulls, but those Reds, they're
silky smooth.
Yeah. It's like Olympus. It's crazy.
It's really nice. They're really nice. So my 5th guy is Donovan Mitchell.
Sure.
I think Team USA is going to help him this season, hone his craft, had a little extra time to do that. I think asserted himself and showed that he could be the go-to guy. I mean, that's what he kind of already was in the Jazz last year, but I think he has the confidence now to like really be that guy. If he keeps his turnovers down, has a more efficient shot, which is entirely possible this year, I could easily see him finishing top 5, especially. I mean, I'm not fully on board the he's 06 Dwayne Wade train that a lot of people were petitioning for him this year, but I could feel a vibe of that coming through.
Okay, I am going to accept that thesis in good faith. And I'm going to counter it by saying that Dwayne Wade didn't have as many other players on that team as Don Mitch does on this one. He will have to distribute. I think that he did pretty well in FIBA. I liked how he played
Yeah.
for Team USA. It was just a weird situation. It wasn't his fault. He did the best he could. Um, and Utah is a team that just needs to get scoring to complement Gobert. And that's what Bojan Bogdanovic was signed for, to give another outside threat. And, Mike Conley and Don Mitch are going to be incredible together, I think. I just love it so much.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be. I think the Jazz are very well positioned for a strong 2019 season.
Yeah, I think that they're almost assuredly a 50-win team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they'll ever be the number one seed, though.
Yeah.
If they finish second, I think that would be sort of the ceiling I see for them. But if everything breaks right and everything breaks wrong for everybody else, then sure, why not? I mean, they have a pretty complete team, especially when you compare it to at least one of the LA teams.
Right. I mean, let's say Kawhi and Paul George and LeBron and Anthony Davis all miss extended time. Then yeah, the Jazz could totally be the first to be the one seed. If everyone in the West died, the Jazz could easily be the one seed.
Right. Easy. If only the Utah Jazz were playing, then they'd win.
Then they could make
it. They do have the player who seemed like the most dominant in the FIBA tournament in Rudy Gobert, the Stifle Tower. And man, if you can't be a complementary offensive player to a defensive force like that, then you're just doing it wrong. And I don't think Don Mitch is doing it wrong. He's a really smart player, and he's going to get better as he ages. He's all of 22 right now.
Yeah, no, he's got plenty of time to take those steps forward.
Yeah. Plus, he seems cool. Let's root for the cool guys.
Right. I mean, this is fantasy basketball. And I have to say, I want to give a shout out to one of our Fake Teams writers and one of the co-hosts who I do the fantasy football podcast with, Clark Bards, who always says, and I take this to heart, you say this, it's a fantasy sport. Enjoy the team you draft. So, you want to get the best players, but, also get fun guys you want to root for. And Donovan Mitchell seems like the perfect guy for that.
Yeah. Yeah, get guys that you have fun with because it's a game and you want to root for them. And also, not for nothing, but dudes that suck, sometimes maybe they get kicked out of the league and you don't get to use them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's not reffing anything. It's just a wild hypothetical.
All right, number 4. Who's your fourth shooting guard for this year in fantasy?
I'm going with Devin Booker, man. Motherfucker is going to be on fire this year. I think this year is going to be about players that are pissed and players that are not. And I think Devin Booker's pissed. He's an elite scorer. His team is ridiculous, or at least the front office is. They're more complete now than they have been while he's been there. Rubio is going to be great with him. DeAndre Ayton will be 1 year older and hopefully won't have too much of a sophomore slump. That team is starting to make sense, and I think that's really going to empower Devin Booker to go out and score more than he did last year, which is still, 20 plus? Well, 26 points per game last year. Come on.
Yeah. You're making me reconsider my list right now because I don't have Devin Booker on it. I have Drew Holiday as my fourth shooting guard.
Ooh.
Who had an excellent season last year, and I think he'll see his points and likely his assists increase in this new high-flying Pelicans offense.
Hard agree, yeah.
So I think that's all an uptick in what was already a very solid season last year in terms of fantasy production. But I do love Devin Booker's unconscious shooting that he brings, in the sense that like you can at any given week just have Devin Booker go off for 50 points. And you're like, well, that's great. Every other player on my team could like have a garbage weekend. I'm getting carried because Devin Booker is just shooting lights out from 3 points and is the only player in Phoenix who's doing anything with the basketball. So, I'm going to stick by my list because, I got it in writing in front of me and I'm a man of my word and I'm going to live and die by it. But I would not be surprised if Devin Booker ousts one of Donovan Mitchell or Drew Holiday into the top 5 this year.
Sure. I concur with everything that you said. It is also possible, though, that Devin Booker is once again on a shitty Phoenix team that doesn't make sense and sort of breaks like 10 games into the season, because that's what's been happening over the last, decade. He's like AI. Same position, same like, oh shit, he went for 40. Same sort of unstoppable elite offensive instincts. But he's also super young, and, there's going to be growing pains in every player's career. Maybe this is the year, instead of everyone else being better and that empowering him, maybe everybody else being better challenges him and he needs to find a new role. He's not just the dude that gets the ball all the time, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. No. And I think it would be interesting to see him play that role, to play the role of not getting the ball all the time and seeing what he can do in that.
But having said that, I totally don't believe that's what's going to happen in Phoenix this year.
No, it's not. Who else is going to get the ball?
Dude, this is such a fantasy team because Rubio is there for assists. Devin Booker is there for points, and DeAndre Ayton is there for double-doubles and rebounds. Like, this is a clearly defined fantasy team, and you can draft all of those guys pretty highly, I think, with confidence. Why can't Devin Booker score, 2 more points a game with a better team around him?
Yeah. No. And I will say he's not in my top 5 shooting guards, but when we talk
he's
about...
He's not even on your top 10.
Doesn't even make the top 50.
He's garbage.
He's garbage. No, but when we talk about our perfect 25 and under starting 5, maybe a Mr. Devin Booker will be coming up then. Number 3 is where I have the dentist Zach LaVine. Because I'm speaking this into the existence, and this isn't Pete talking, Natty. I want you to know this is Dr. Pete. Dr. Sure. Pete is telling you Zach LaVine is going to be the scoring champion in 2019. Book it. Wow. I said it on the last pod. Shout out to the Ringers DJ Foster for the idea, and I'm sticking with it. It's happening. You best believe he's going to just ascend into glory, and you can take that to the doctor's office because Dr. Pete told you it's right.
Dr. Pete's in Mensa, so I don't really have any kind of cogent argument against someone like that. I mean, you're smarter than me, and you clearly know that Zach LaVine is as incredible as he can be. And that's a team that's sort of designed to get him to that point. I don't think that Lauri Markkanen is going to turn into a volume scorer. I don't think that Wendell Carter Jr. is, and Tomas Satoransky is a really good player, but he's there to help everybody else score. So, And Otto Porter Jr. is too boring to do anything other than be very competent and an undervalued fantasy asset. He'll be great this year, at least ADP wise. So, dude, the dentist drills. He's going to be so fucking good this year. And it's just... If everything, we keep saying this, but if everything breaks right for the Bulls and everything breaks wrong for everybody else, then they're for sure a top 4 team in the East, aren't they?
Yeah. If everything breaks right for them, why not? I don't even think that you need everything to break right for them. I think that this is a pretty solid team. And the biggest thing is that you're led by a guy who can just score at will. He can get to the bucket easy enough and can dunk on anyone there, regardless of height, size, ability to block. He is just a phenom around the rim, and he's got a developing 3-point shot. So that's all. That's all you need to lead the league in scoring.
Dude, 37% from 3 last year on 5 attempts. Like,
I'll take it. Joke. Yeah, fucking sure. Bump that up to 7. Like he said, shoots 2 more threes a game. Hell yes, please and Absolutely. Thank you.
I do have to disagree. The top 4 in the East are Pistons number 1, obviously,
Naturally.
then Giannis and the Bucks, then
Uh,
Philly, then Toronto,
mm,
and then the Bulls. Sure, fine. Then
sure.
Boston.
Yeah, I feel like Boston's pretty low in that list. How interesting.
Yeah, they're a top 5 team, or they could be.
No. I should be happy with that. No, I am. Thank you for putting us.
Yo,
in the
you
top
have
five.
Ennis Cantor, dude. Like 2010 right there. Every
Right
game.
Book it. Dr. Pete agrees on that one too. Who's your number 3?
Okay, so I changed this from my original I wrote this down, earlier when doing research, and then right before the pod, I changed it. So now it's Bradley Beal.
Who at 3? Interesting.
Yeah. I think he's just going to have an incredible year because what the hell else is he supposed to do?
Yeah.
He's like kind of trapped in a star role because if he sucks, then that's just really bad. And he's not going to suck. He's one of the best all-around players in the NBA. He's also maybe playing to get traded, although I don't know, maybe Brad Beal wants to stick around. And he's 26. He's just such a good, all-around, solid, smart player. And I guess I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know. It's hard to say that he would be number 1, but the 2 dudes I have in front of him, I just think are going to be incredible fantasy players this year. And I think the same of Beal. I just don't think that he's going to be asked to do as much as the other 2.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I have Beal as my number 2, so I'll segue right into him. And just with when you look at last year when John Wall was out, which was the last 48 games of the season, Beal averaged 27.1 points on 47.5%, shot 7.6 attempts from 3, shot 53% from there, had 6.6 free throw attempts, let me read all my notes, 5.1 boards, 5.9 assists, 1.8 steals. And I think you're going to get a whole season of that and then some because of all the things you touched on. This is now unquestionably his team that he is going to lead. And I think either he's going to play a fuck you angry season, Washington, I'm your leader, forget about John Wall, or play a fuck you Washington, you put me into this garbage situation, I need to get out ASAP, contenders come get me. Either way, it's a Bradley Beal fuck you everyone season, and I think he's going to milk it for all it's worth and get the most out of it.
Also, last year, they kept trading away his teammates.
Right.
So it was strange for him to play anyway. This year, he'll have, they can't trade these dudes for a while. So, it's not a terrible team. I like Davis Bertans a lot. Mo Wagner, go blue. CJ Miles is fine. Bryant is fine. Jan Mahinmi, God bless. He's still there for $15 million fucking dollars. They have Admiral Schofield, which means that they are a title contender.
Naturally.
But obviously, Bradley Beal's in a situation where his value is probably higher as an asset than a player. So I did this before the pod. I swear to God, this works. At least the salary. Bradley Beal for Hardaway Jr. and Justin Jackson from the Mavs works money-wise.
Oh, my God.
Now, you would have to attach a lot of other stuff, and the Mavs don't really have that many draft picks that they can trade. So that, isn't a foregone.
Wow.
And Justin Jackson isn't really that much of an asset, I don't think. But if as the Wizards that you don't really want to have Beal with Wall, or you don't want to have both salaries, then this is a way to get out of money and to sort of prepare for Wall's return next year. And Hardaway Jr. has 2 years left at $20 fucking million. Go blue.
Never forget.
And that's a tradable contract, hysterically. That's just an example. Bradley Beal can get traded. There are every team really that's a contender will want him. He would look so sexy on the Lakers, which everyone knows, but I don't even know if they can do that.
No, dude, so you've convinced me.
He's playing for like every fan base and for every team. It's weird. It's like an interview season.
He's got to play with Luka and Porzingis.
incredible.
I'm
would
now
that be?
100% sold on this. And I'm
I mean-
also realizing something really, really dire, which I think you might be bringing up with your number 2 player. Who is your number 2 shooting guard?
No, wait. Who's your 3?
My 3 was the dentist, and then my 2 was Bradley Beal.
Oh, that's right.
And your 2, who's your 2? Because I think I've just realized it's something that's going to crush me and rip my soul out.
So, this is what I was, worried about before the pod, and this is why I changed it. My 2 is Harden.
Your 2 is Harden.
Yeah.
Oh my God, who is your 1?
It's Luka.
Oh my God, that was what I was worried about. I totally forgot that Luka. I was like, I don't know what position I was thinking Luka was going to play as. A power
Dude,
forward,
it doesn't matter.
I
He's
guess?
probably going to end up having
Fuck.
3 position eligibility this year. I mean, he's listed as a shooting guard on ESPN, but it doesn't really matter, right? He's, I actually, I think he's SGPF. So give me a break. But he's a ball distributor. We know that. So if you don't have him on your list, that's fine. Who are your top 2?
My top 2 is Beal and Harden, but now I'm thinking that Drew Holiday is going to get the axe. I'm going to convince myself that Bradley Beal actually won't be as good without John Wall. James Harden is number 2, Bradley Beal is number 4, and Luka's number 1, baby. The season of Luka is upon us.
I really think that's true because he already had his sophomore season 3 years ago when he was 10 playing professionally in Europe. I mean, his team's going to be better this year. And if the unicorn Porzingis comes back,
oh my God,
good,
don't tease me,
dude. I think the sky's the limit for Luka. I think he's a future MVP. I get that Trey is really, really good, and I don't think anyone in Atlanta has anything to feel bad about. But holy fucking shit, if you're a Dallas fan, you have to be so excited. He's
Luka,
20 years old, man.
Do you remember when everyone was freaking out because he was the European MVP at age 18, and everyone was like, well, I don't know if he can play in the NBA. He's never played college basketball again. Hey, you know what's a better thing than college basketball? Fucking professional basketball that you've been playing since you were 15 years old.
Right. He looks pudgy. He's not explosive. Meanwhile,
he's
if that
old man
motherfucker had
scoring.
been drafted instead of DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix, we'd be talking about the Suns a hell of a lot differently.
It's true. He and Devin Booker would be a filthy duo.
Yeah, sweet Jesus.
Oh my God.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Harden because
sure. Because now he's both of our number 2s.
Always accurate, this podcast.
Yeah, we're 100%. We're batting 100.
Can I say, though, before we start,
Yes.
one of the reasons that I put Luka number 1 is in leagues where triple doubles are a stat category. I think he's going to get a lot of triple doubles this year.
God, will he ever? Yeah. No, and that's just another thing that if that's something that happens in your league, those are scoring little scoring differences that if your league has them, you want to take full advantage of those things.
Yeah, Russ Westbrook has been the number 1 player in any triple double league for the past 3 years, I'm sure.
Right. Oh, 100%. Okay, yeah, let's talk Harden. So Harden is your 2. He was my 1, and now I've bumped him down to 2 simply because we all believe in Luka, and Luka's a god. But give us an actual reason why James Harden belongs as the number 2 shooting guard in fantasy this year.
Well, the guy that keeps getting triple doubles every year, Russell
just
Westbrook,
joined him.
The Sarge. Yeah, exactly. The 2 highest usage dudes in the history of the fucking galaxy. They've played together and it's worked. I don't think that this would have happened if they didn't have a good feeling about it. I think they will empower each other. I think Harden will spread the floor for Westbrook. And I think Westbrook will do other things to help James Harden. He could have a monster defensive year if he wants to. Westbrook's free throw shooting last year was strangely bad. He's a better free throw shooter than that. I don't think he's going to have a bad year, but I do think that each of them are going to decrease in value in fantasy. I just don't see both of them having the same numbers as they did last year on different teams.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, you're adding, I think basically the crux behind Harden not being, again, the number 1 shooting guard in fantasy is usage, right? It's just the fact that He's now playing with Russell Westbrook. What is that offense going to look like? How much is he going to actually be touching the ball? And he's not going to shoot 1,000 3-pointers again. So that's going to bring down his value a little bit. He also somehow had 2.1 steals per game last year, which shocked me, which was surprising. I think
hands.
You know what they say. You steal
a
lot of balls.
It's a Jay Billis league now. It's all about wingspan and big ass hands.
Mm-hmm.
Kawhi's hands.
Oh my God,
fucking enormous.
Kawhi's hands are out of this world.
He just grabs the ball from dudes sometimes. Who the fuck does that?
He is a true specimen of a human being. But I would honestly, if I was being realistic with you, Natty, and our listeners, I would treat Harden and Luka as like 1A, 1B.
I mean, the smart money would say that Harden's going for another MVP here because the Rockets like to do that, and so does he. And I think that there is a possibility where Harden and Steph both sort of individually decide, fuck this, I'm shooting all the threes that I possibly can. I'm depending on the math and my range and my strength. And we see another sort of evolution in what elite long-range distance scorers can do.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, I just don't believe that those two dudes can coexist in the same usage universe. You know, like it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
Right. They're going to be great together. I stand by that. But I think that you're just not going to be able to get the same amount of production out of both of them with them sharing a court.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this is a year for both of them to, sort of prove themselves yet again. Everybody on the Thunder keeps having to prove themselves. But the Rockets have been talking big for a long time. And it's not that they're not good. It's just that they haven't been able to measure up.
Yeah.
And, Russ sort of has the same deal. Like, he hasn't been to a conference finals since people left. So this is his chance to, go deep again. And I asked someone the other day, would you rather have James Harden or Paul George? And they looked at me and they were kind of like, shit, I don't want to answer that question. Like, they didn't even want to think about whose value next to Westbrook is actually better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be Harden.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be fun to watch. But we're firmly on board the fact that Luka is the number one shooting guard in fantasy this year. Probably the number one player
or whatever
in
the
fantasy
hell he is. Like, who?
Right.
I mean, positions are becoming less and less important, and I sort of wonder if in 5 years it's going to be like distributor, wing, big. All
right, 5 years.
Who cares about power forwards?
Fantasy is just going to be starting 5 guys as you're just going to start. Yeah. I mean, there's the half of your bench anyway. I mean, half of your starting lineup is just utility flex spots. So who cares?
Yeah, for sure. Wait, do you have any honorable mentions for shooting guard?
I mean, I guess everything I said about Drew Holiday is an honorable mention. Now that he's fell out of my top 5 within this last 20 minutes. Do you have honorable mentions?
I did want to mention Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Buckets.
Jimmy Butler has been a 2 and a 3 in his career. I didn't say he was a 2 for this because he's listed at small forward on the depth chart for Miami this year. But, I mean, there's all the reason in the world to think that Jimmy Butler is going to be fucking fantastic this year.
He's another
pissed off player.
Right. He's another fuck you, let's do this player. Yep. There's a lot of them this year. You touched on it, but there's a lot going forward, which is going to lead to a very exciting NBA season.
Oh, yeah. I think this is going to be a really good NBA season.
This is going to be a great one.
There's only maybe like 2 teams that I think are just total butt, and everybody else has a reason to watch.
Yeah. It's the perfect league. Perfect league right there. We are going to go and talk about our perfect starting 5 of 25 and younger players. But before we do that, we're going to quickly take a break for some advertisements. All right, we are back and we're going to give our perfect, and I want to emphasize perfect, Natty, because this isn't just, these are all the best 25 and under players in the NBA, but I don't know how they're going to play together. This is the perfect starting lineup that is expertly crafted to maximize every player's potential. And I will warn you, I added a sixth man because that is a true starting lineup.
Dude, so did I.
Oh, perfect.
Ditto.
Well, fuck,
Jeez.
we are just on the same page. So we're going to, do we want to start point guard, go down, start sixth man, go up? What are you feeling? I'll let you decide. You can start us off.
Okay, let's just start with point guard. And
Perfect.
how about you start us off? Because I started for the top 5.
Sounds good. Well, after we debated what position Luka is, I'm going to have Luka play point guard for my perfect 25 and under starting team. He's just going to be a perfect facilitator of this offense, moving the ball with ease to whomever he wants. And I have a team constructed around him to be able to maximize his ability in the assist category, in driving to the lane, using his size. So he is my starting point guard.
Nice. He's 20 fucking years old. So
which is
that definitely
just preposterous.
Works. Yeah. But you're wrong because of Ben Simmons. It's absolutely Ben Simmons.
Like hell I was going to have Ben Simmons on this perfect team.
Go green, whatever, dude. Ben Simmons is going to be fucking radical this year. He's so good. Everyone's nitpicking. And I don't know. I've seen players be good at basketball before that didn't have outside shots. Like, I don't know, LeBron or Giannis. So I think that Ben Simmons is another pissed off player. I think that Philly is really, really good. And I would rather have someone who's 93 feet tall as my point guard than Luka, even though I'm full on with Doncic.
Hey man, Luka's no slouch in the height department. He's 6'7". I know fucking Ben Simmons is like 7 feet, but 6'7" is not bad. I will say, I'll give you credit because while I was doing this list, I was trying to figure out who my shooting guard was going to be, and because Luka's so fluid, I was like, all right, well maybe I can get a point guard. Like maybe I just move him to to the 2 spot and get it. And I was having a really hard time not putting Ben Simmons there, but I didn't. Instead, Devin Booker is my shooting guard because he is going to play the Klay Thompson heat check. Obviously, minus the defense that Klay Thompson brings to the table, but the unbridled heat check of any given night, he can go just absolutely mental from downtown, shoot like 11 for 13, and single-handedly carry this team forward to the win. So Devin Booker is my starting 2 guard.
Yeah, he and Klay both like the second quarter, which I mean, they're both so goddamn good.
That's when you win games, Natty, in the second quarter.
I mean, my 2 is Luka, so we've already talked enough about him. I think that it's like Devin Booker is, I don't know, maybe the best scorer out of everybody that I have on my perfect 25 and under team. So for that point alone, he probably needs to be on the team.
But I think again, a Ben Simmons Luka backcourt is.
Oh yeah, get out
pretty
of here.
Sweet.
It's incredible. Yeah,
pretty sweet.
It would look weird as hell, but
you'd be here for it.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's your starting 3?
I went. I hate you, Jason Tatum.
See, I was all right. I had a lot of debate about whether or not I wanted Tatum as my 3. Obviously, future MVP. Love the guy. Nothing against him. But I'll talk to you. Go ahead and talk up your Tatum pick, because then I'll explain who and why I have at my 3.
Tatum is a player that you can believe in. We've seen him for extended stretches that weren't just blips where we were like, oh shit, yeah, well, that guy's going to be an MVP someday. And those blips don't really tend to be fake when they last that long, especially in the playoffs, because he's going up against the cream of the crop. So I just think that we've seen him be incredible before, and he had a sophomore slump, and it was a weird fucking year, as we've said a million times, and I'm not going to blame anybody on the Celtics for having a bad year last year. I I don't really see why I should think of him differently than I did last year before drafts. I just think he's incredible.
Nope. I agree with everything you said. I want everyone who is listening to this podcast, when you are going into your fantasy drafts, if it's a redraft league, I want you to harness the feeling. Go watch Jason Tatum in the Eastern Conference Final, dunking on him. Watch that highlight and fixate on that moment when you're about to draft, because that is the Jason Tatum that we are far more likely to see this year than the Tatum that we saw last year. So make sure that you are not shorting yourself by thinking that Tatum is somehow in between those two levels. He's going to be much closer to what we saw his rookie year than what we saw last year.
Yeah, hard agree. I mean, he should be the focus of this team, shouldn't he?
Oh, yeah. And I think he will be. Because I think Kemba is much more of a team player, just from everything that I've heard coming out of Charlotte. You know, everything you hear about Kemba as a person is that he's much more of a team player who's down just to win. And so I think Brad's going to draw this offense up to really shape and work around Tatum and what Tatum can do, hopefully pulling a kind of Giannis-esque thing of driving to the hoop, kicking it out to shooters, and kind of working your offense like that, because Tatum can also get to the hoop just effortlessly and can score from anywhere because the guy has, 30-foot arms. And then you'll obviously working Kemba in enough ways to give him his usage and volume. But I would not be surprised if the Celtics are entirely crafted around Jason Tatum.
He's getting drafted top 40 on ESPN right now, and these are early drafts, so who cares that much? But he's a guy that can be a top 25 player pretty easily, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, if he's there in the third round and you don't take him, you better have a good fucking reason why not.
Yeah. You better be like some dumbass Sixers fan or something like that. All right, so let me explain to you why Jason Tatum is not my starting three. First off, didn't want to just have the exact same lineup as you, obviously. Because so far,
typical Celtics fan. I love Jason Tatum, just not for this, though. Just not for this. Not for perfect.
Not for perfect. Not for a perfect lineup.
Right. I think he's good. I mean, I like him. Go green. But perfect? Come on.
My perfect lineup, spoiler alert, does not have Giannis Antetokounmpo in it. And so I needed defense. I have multiple defenders to cover Giannis, but I needed defense at my 3 spot. I needed someone who not only can shut someone down, but also can score at will on the offensive side. I want someone who has learned from arguably the best player in the NBA last year on both sides of the court. My 3 is Pascal Siakam, who is going to harness Kawhi Leonard and lead this team to a championship.
That sounds awesome. It won't happen, but it sounds so cool, man. That just sounds great.
Thank you. I'm good at spinning the narrative.
Absolutely. And it works because Kawhi left. Like, those minutes are there. Those shot attempts are there. That position is open for him to take it over. There's a real complementary feel to that team. Everybody sort of knows their position and what they do and how they work together. I think the Raptors are going to be better than people think they are. And if they're a top 3 team, then it's probably because either Lowry went crazy or Siakam did.
And I agree with everything you said, but I want to emphasize, Natty, I don't care about the Raptors. I'm talking this perfect team of Luka, Devin Booker, and Pascal Siakam so far. Sure. Championship bound. Especially when, do you know who I'm adding at the 4? Because it's not Giannis, but it's your boy, Karl-Anthony Towns.
Oh, really? You put him there? Okay.
Fine. I'm putting Cat at the 4 because Cat is going to basically play the spread the defense, shoot from deep, long range, up at the court, ball handling, everything power forward that we've seen thrive in today's NBA. He's going to be a beautiful running mate with Luka, and will provide some defense. But you also have Pascal Siakam there, and I've got more defense coming. I got defense on defense, baby. I love my defense. But Cat is finally going to be an offense where he can facilitate because he's got shooters surrounding him. He can score at will because the paint's not going to be wildly crowded with everyone clogging the lane. And he is just going to work.
Sure. I mean, I have him at center, and in my head, I'm just asking myself, does he have Zion at center? Because if he does, I'm going to jump off the planet. I agree with
Spoiler
everything.
alert.
Okay. You should have just said, of course I do.
I know. just the fucking podcast explodes, and that's it. And that was the log too, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it.
And I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that's just a fantastic idea because of all the things you just said. Cat has range. He's incredible. That team is such a fucking goddamn mess, and
Such a dumpster
sad.
fire. Yeah, man.
And it's stupid. Like, they shouldn't be in the West. That team is never going to be taken seriously while they're in the West because, hello, they should be playing Wisconsin and Michigan and Indiana and Illinois.
Toronto.
Instead. Yeah, like, god damn, it's so stupid, man. Minnesota, West, yeah, whatever. Anyway, Big Cat's just incredible, and there's nothing holding him back this year. And I think he's going to be another one of those pissed off players because of what Jimmy Butler did last year, because of what the front office has conspired through just a series of incompetent decisions to present it. I mean, he's sort of got the worst situation of any of the young elite players.
Right.
How could you trust that team?
You can't. Can I? I'm going to make it quick because, as per usual with the show, we're very tangential. We're not the most efficient podcast, and we are lengthy. But I've had this rant kind of percolating in my mind for a while now, and I'm going to rant to you, Natty.
I'm ready. Born ready. Let's go.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Old sports heads, and I'm looking right in your motherfucking eyes, Bill Simmons, are all up in a tizzy because NBA players, and now it's happening in the NFL too, because players feel like they have the right and the power to request trades, to get out of shitty situations in trying to get the best for them, right? And this previous generation of sportscasters is all like, wow, haven't they ever heard about being a good leader? What about a team? Playing for the team, stick around, be part of the team. Oh, this is such a me-centric ideology. Like, these players don't care about the team anymore. They're just going to bounce around from place to place to play with their friends, and that can't be how this sport operates anymore. But you can't fucking say that when these players are stuck and trapped in just garbage organizations that don't do anything except for tread water at the best, most of the time drown. How can you expect a player, particularly in the NFL, because your body is constantly on the line in that sport, but any sport, you're going to put yourself out there to get it, to like possibly lose, right? The thing that is your job, your physical well-being, for an organization, for an ownership, for a leadership, for a team that doesn't give a flying F about you, that will cut you, has no problem getting rid of you and voiding all of your guarantee contract, but also is so inept that they're not putting a team around you. Why wouldn't you as a player be like, you know what? This environment is not good. I don't enjoy this. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm going to get out. Like, if you take this scenario to any other job, if you didn't like your job, of course you'd quit. Of course you'd ask to get transferred, whatever it be. Like, you can't separate those two just because, well, this is entertainment. This is the team you were drafted to. You're just going to do that. It's like, no, that's not how it works, man. If you fucking want to keep your stars, build a good fucking team. Be smart. Don't be an idiot. There's my rant.
Don't be stupid. Dr. Pete.
Dr. Pete, man. It's build a fucking good team. If you want to keep your stars around, build a fucking good team. You have all the power in the world, owners, right? You have billions of dollars just lying around. Like, you can't fucking build a good team. Get out of here. You can't then go bitching about how the players are leaving your organization. Build an organization that they want to be a part of.
I don't have a problem with player movement from either side. I mean, players can get traded and players can sit out, and it's just a game. This isn't, a war. Like, it's okay if you have a business dispute and you don't do work for a while, and God bless all the union workers in Michigan. in Simmons' defense, I think it's like he's been really pissed off publicly about the Anthony Davis trade. And I feel like it was more about how it happened and the fact that Davis, how he behaved with his team rather than the movement itself. I mean,
That's
everybody
fair.
was saying that Davis was going to go to the Lakers eventually. I think what was distasteful was the fact that they sort of said, fuck this team publicly. And then he wasn't playing. And, it's just like,
It was not
you
handled well.
really
I
shouldn't.
agree with that. It was handled very poorly, and I commend the Pelicans for basically torpedoing them trying to trade during the season when the Lakers were like, "Hey, we'll offer you everyone," and then they leaked that, and the Pelicans were like, "Oh, spoiler alert, we're not trading with you, but thanks for ruining all the chemistry you didn't have."
It's also, really poor form to behave that way towards your peers and your colleagues and your teammates. LeBron did the exact same thing in LA, where he's like, "Yeah, well, let's trade everybody. Who cares?"
Right.
There's a certain amount of leeway that comes with the absolute stars because, from a certain point of view, they're right. They shouldn't have to tolerate incompetence. They shouldn't have to tolerate bad teams. You're wasting years of my career that could be incredible. It is good when players that are, elites team up because that just makes it more fun. Um, the reason I think that a lot of people are upset with the player movement this summer was that so much of it happened so fast.
Mm.
If all of these moves had happened over a 3-year span, then I don't think people would have been in such an arms. But like Kawhi and Paul George conspiring to get him to,
But
it's like
that's
every
just
single
good
fucking
shit.
person in the room wanted that trade to happen anyway. OKC wanted to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't really see what the big deal is.
It's good content.
Yeah, like why are we hoping? Fans have loyalty to teams, but they understand that it's completely irrational. It's just geographic. Like, no Minnesota fan wants Cat to leave, but they want the team to be better, and they understand that if the team's shit, then yeah, he should leave.
Right.
Because why should you waste your whole career?
And
the Hall of Fame matters to these players. And getting a ring increases your chances by a lot. So this is serious shit. It's also money, and there's no problem with forcing your way to another team. There is a problem when you publicly diss your teammates and basically say, fuck this place, fuck this town. Also, the owner was a widow. You probably shouldn't publicly force a widow to do things. That's something that you can suggest in back rooms and do it discreetly. So the whole thing was really just poorly done.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, there's a right way to do it. I just, and maybe I am reacting stronger to more of this is now becoming a hot button topic in the NFL circles. And everyone's like, you should just stick around for the team to be good. And it's like, if the team is being actively garbage, why would I want to be there? Why would I want to stick around and just hope that this team is going to build, this organization is going to build a good team around me? It's a lot easier. Power to the NBA. It's a lot easier to do that in the NBA, right? I mean, you get 2 or 3 guys and suddenly you're rocking and rolling. In the NFL, it takes, you got to build a whole 53-man roster, and you don't trust half the teams there to actually do it because they haven't proven that they're able to do it.
Dude, every single year, elite teams fall to the bottom and bottom teams. There's so much variance in football. It's impossible to predict any team outside of the Patriots. It just is.
It is.
There's absolutely no rhyme or reason to it. I can't stand football because every new offensive coordinator comes in with a new fucking Bible and everybody has to learn the whole thing.
Right. And it ruins everyone. Yeah.
Dude, Jason Campbell was a good quarterback. I mean, this is showing how old I am, but I really like Jason Campbell. And every single year the Redskins would bring in a new offensive coordinator or a new head coach, and he has to learn an entire new 1,000-page fucking binder. And it totally destroyed his career because how are you supposed to have any kind of consistency with that when it's changing all the time? There's the olds that are complaining about player movement are yearning for a time when players didn't have free agency and like didn't have any kind of power or say
Right.
over their careers a bad time. It's exactly how people who feel about the 50s being this halcyon age are like, no, a lot of bad
No,
shit
there was a
going
lot
on
of
then.
wrong going on in the world
Right.
at that
Like
period.
this one small segment of society was having a good time. But like people that are complaining about the player movement, what they should be complaining about are the teams that forced these players to make these decisions. Like
Amen.
almost every player wants to win a championship for the team that drafts them. If you're just going to be Orlando, then why the fuck shouldn't I leave?
Yep.
Like, what have you done? What do I owe you? The owners and the GMs don't owe player. Like, to get back to Simmons for a second, and in his defense, like he was irate at the Celtics over the IT thing just because of how they treated him through the entire process, you know, being injured in the playoffs and like what he meant to Boston. And Boston hasn't had very good karma since then, have they?
It's true. It's true.
Like, doesn't really seem like free agents outside of Gordon Hayward want to go play for a team like that treats their players like that. So I think Simmons is the national voice of sports right now, and so he gets tied in with a lot of the main arguments that are going on for both sides, just because, you know, people project themselves onto you know, big celebrities. But the problem comes down to the teams are failing. If a good player leaves your team, you failed. It's just like Team USA and Colangelo. Like, Colangelo is in charge of the team. You can't blame the players. You can't blame the coach. You put this team together. You shouldn't be sitting there saying, oh, well, why aren't these guys like coming to play for me? You should be out there convincing them.
Right.
I think the Team USA fiasco is absolutely Colangelo's fault. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's because some players don't want to play for a guy whose son talks shit about other players. Or his wife did, anyway.
Nope, I completely agree. Well said.
Fuck
on
bosses,
both parties.
Pete.
Fuck bosses. Fuck the man, as I say to me, myself, the boss. All right.
You're a shepherd.
I think we've got two people still on.
Oh yeah,
classic us. Two things to talk about. I think you said so. Cat's your center. Cat's my power forward. I assume you have Giannis at your 4.
Oh, absolutely. And then Cat's my 5.
And then Cat's your 5. I have Miles Turner as my 5.
He can I love
shoot
that.
threes. He can block. He can play defense. He can clog up the lane for Giannis when he drives. He's my anchor of the defense.
Interesting. I mean, you did say you were going defense. I sort of thought that you were going to have Jokic at center, and I was like, "Ooh, that's fucking nice."
I do love Jokic, but I feel like Jokic and Cat can play a similar role. Like I think Cat can in an offense where it's just like, hey, you are in charge, let's go crazy. Cat can be what Jokic is to the Nuggets. And so
Denver
I didn't want to
have enough assets to trade for Cat.
Fuck, that would be gorgeous.
I
so I didn't want to. I felt like that was doubling up. So I was like, I'm going to get a guy who will hit the open shot. Basically, in my mind, Miles Turner is, and people are going to get at me for saying this, and this is not Dr. Pete talking, is a better Joel Embiid.
Oh wow! So this is Pete on cocaine.
This is Pete on lots of cocaine. High ass Pete is like Miles Turner is a better player, or better for my perfect 25 and under starting 5 than Joel Embiid, and maybe the best version of Joel Embiid. I think Joel is a freak. He's a phenomenal basketball player, but I think sometimes the things that the Sixers want him to do, stand around the perimeter and shoot threes, and then clog up in the paint when in defense. I feel like Miles Turner might be better situated for those things. I don't think Miles Turner has anywhere near the around the rim game that Joel has.
Miles Turner is probably going to play more this year also, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I like that a lot. I think that's great.
Who's your 6th?
Also on the cusp of 25, so who cares?
Who's your 6th man? Last guy.
So,
let's finish this line.
Totally. So my 6th man was Joker. It was Jokic.
Nice.
I just really liked writing his name next to Karl-Anthony Towns. Thinking about it.
Just the lineups that you could do, and you could have them switch, but you could have them play together. Yeah, they would be. Oh my god, the lineups you could run with that.
I would like to mention that a runner-up was the Andre Drummond, who is not sexy. I understand, but he was a top 20 player in ESPN Basic last year, and he's top 15 in ADP this year. He is still pretty much a baby. He's totally consistent, and he's improving year to year. He's not a defensive stalwart, and he's not an elite offensive player. What he is solid.
Yeah. No, and he's gonna eat boards for days.
Hell yeah, he is. Who's your sixth man?
I mean, if I'm going up against your perfect 25, right? I need someone who I know. I trust Pascal Siakam. I trust Miles Turner. Those are guys who I think can wear Giannis down, but I need someone who in crunch moments, when the game is on the line, the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, I need someone who I can put on Giannis to single-handedly shut him down and cause that crucial turnover that's going to win us the game. There's only one man for the job.
Who is it?
It's Marcus Smart.
Wow.
Marcus is clearly the choice here.
That's great. I mean, I agree.
I had to get one homer pick in there, and I was like, Marcus as my third, as my sixth man. He's going to come on. He's going to give so much energy to this team, and he can play Giannis for 4 minutes.
And as we said, you're high as hell. So
and I currently Miles Turner is a better player than Joel Embiid in my head right now. So
Marcus Smart is really young though, and can play above his position on defense. He's going to be a very interesting player to watch this year.
I'm very excited for this entire Celtics team, obviously. But yes, you just forget about with a lot of these guys, how young they come into the league. And so you feel like they've been in, like Marcus has been in the league for like 5 years. So is Drummond, but they're like 25 years old. And you're like, good God, their peak is like 3 years away. Just imagine what this guy could be in 3 years.
Yeah, the fact that people get like 3 big contracts before they're 30 now is
absurd.
Strange.
Yeah,
it's great though. It's super good.
Yeah, no, it's great. All right, let's wrap this up. Because
a dude we didn't mention, by the way, Trae Young.
Yeah, Trae Young. I thought about him as a shooting guard or as my point guard too. But
De'Aaron Fox also.
I was my Trae Young thing, and maybe this is just my naivete of not having watched every single Atlanta Hawks game. But
what?
I know, shocker. I feel like Trae Young is in the James Harden vein of being very good with the ball in his hands, and I need someone who can run off screens and catch and shoot, which could be still Trae Young. But correct me, Hawks fans, if I'm wrong. I think Trae Young can do that, but is that his game? I don't know. Is that using him to his best? I don't know. I don't need Devin Booker to be a facilitator. I'm happy to never have him facilitate an offense ever again. I just need him to run off screens and hit threes.
He's just a fucking assassin, man.
That's all he's on the court for.
The far side of the moon.
All that he is doing. All right, to wrap us up, Natty, we've had 2 weeks now to think about this, but give me your favorite thing of the week.
My favorite thing of the week is, I think I'm going to go with some music again. Because there's just been so much ridiculous bullshit going on in the world. And I live in New York, and it's UN week. And motherfucker, man.
That is an exciting time to be alive.
Damn it. And like school's back in, so every kid is sending around the plague. And it's just, it's nice. It was a beautiful day out here. I don't want to complain too much. But I also feel like music and basketball go hand in hand.
Yeah.
The Team USA thing got me really befuddled. I felt like YG, Who Shot Me. Great song, great album.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I also was confused at our front court and thought that we needed a bigger weapon. So I'm going to recommend The Coup and their incredible song, We Are the Ones, off of their album, Pick a Bigger Weapon. And then because the fucking Tigers are just, Jesus, they're going to be the worst team in baseball this year. And they have another 100 loss team in their own fucking division.
We're just covering all sports here. This is excellent.
And like Nick Castellanos is turning into the player that every Tigers fan knew that he could be, and he's on a different fucking team. And God bless, I'm glad we all wanted him to do well. Go Nicky Castles in the sky. But it really fucking hurts because come on, man. Anyway, Percy Sledges, you're pouring water on a drowning man. Seems really apropos.
Seems really apt.
For this fucking Tigers season, which at long last is going to come to an end. Oh my God.
Oh man.
How about you? What's your fave?
Did you see the trailer for the new Adam Sandler movie? I think it's like Uncut Gems that just came out today.
No.
So it's like an Adam Sandler drama about seemingly gambling, I think.
Sure.
I was kind of confused by it. It seems like he gambled / owns a pawn shop / maybe rigged a game or something like that. Nevertheless, the main point to take from here is that Kevin Garnett is in it. And Kevin Garnett does not look like he has aged a millisecond since retiring from the NBA, let alone since playing in the 2008 championship. Like, it is incredible how well that man has aged. I tweeted out a photo of him from the 2008 run and from this trailer, 11 years apart, and they look fucking identical. So whatever you're doing, KG, it is working like gangbusters because you are
Wait
aging
a second. When did they
magnificently.
film the movie? Maybe it's 11 years old.
Maybe they just waited 11 years. They waited for Adam Sandler to Adam Sandler to work his way out of that massive Netflix deal that he had signed to make like 13 shitty movies. And then they're like, oh, finally we can release this now.
Dude, I'm all about more Kevin Garnett. I think he's fantastic. I loved his weird hat off the side of his head.
Incredible.
Yeah, I think he's a great, cool dude. I wish he was on more broadcasts.
And I think, you saw like a tiny little snippet of him in this, but dude, if he does a good job, I am here for a Kevin Garnett an acting career. I am all for that. Let's do that. Let's remake Shazam, but with Kevin Garnett.
Right. He's like in the next Christopher Nolan movie.
Oh, yes.
He starts popping up in indie films. It would be incredible.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah,
perfect.
he could just have a counter movie empire to LeBron's Space Jam 2.
Oh, yeah. He's like, hey, LeBron, you have Space Jam and Trainwreck. I've got a whole fucking video empire coming my way.
Yo, how many players in the NBA do you think are going to be in Space Jam 2?
I feel like there's going to be just an absurd amount of cameos in it. Like, I would say I would confidently bet that there is at least 20.
Yeah, this is a real opportunity for LeBron to sort of throw an elbow as a celebrity and as a power broker. Like, look at how many fucking people love me and who I can put in a movie. Bill Murray was in the original Space Jam. Maybe he'll be in 2. Like, what other, movies?
Or hear me out. His Trainwreck co-star Bill Hader plays the Bill Murray role. Just got to keep the Bills consistent.
Oh shit! Do you think Michael Jordan will be in it?
On the one hand, I really want him to be, but on the other hand, I could also see Michael Jordan being like, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, but damn.
If he comes on at the end, if he plays the Bill Murray and comes on the court at the end being like, oh, you guys need one. And then you're like, oh my God, Michael Jordan is here to save LeBron's legacy. It would be the most fitting thing in the world.
Because maybe they needed his permission to do it anyway. Is it his movie?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Who do we talk to about that?
I don't know. Whoever owns the fucking Looney Tunes. Warner Brothers?
It is Warner Brothers. All right. Yeah, we'll confirm that. We'll see whether or not Michael Jordan owns Space Jam or if not. I feel like he would. I would.
Did you see Ad Astra?
No, I have not seen that yet. Did you? It just came out.
It's really, really funny. Just kidding.
It's a lighthearted comedy.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sounds like it was stellar. Interstellar.
Brad Pitt, nice fucking job, bro.
Thank you.
It's just an opportunity to see Brad Pitt acting well. Like, it's just him in the movie. So it's totally fine.
Yeah, I'll take that. That's a well worth whatever $15 to go to a movie these days.
It's no Rise of Skywalker.
Woo, baby. All right, with that, before we get on a whole Star Wars binge, we're going to sign off. Make sure to subscribe under the Fake Teams Podcast channel. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, whole 9 yards. Follow us on Twitter at The Long Two Podcast. We will be back at you next week. Natty, enjoy your week, sir.
Have a great week, man. next time.